Hello, my name is Derek Sullivan, and this is my presentation for my paper for computer-mediated communications. My paper, as you can see, is titled "Do Groups Work Better Face-to-Face or Online?" First of all, I just wanted to talk a little bit about communication in the 21st century. Realistically, one of the things that I found very interesting about this class and some of our readings was how long computer-mediated communication has been around. It goes back into the 20th century. So it's definitely been a huge way to communicate since the year 2000. And with the growth of computer-mediated communication, the classroom, the workplace, it has become very easy for students, communicators, and researchers to work together, even if they don't live nearby. And when I started this project, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was really thinking more of I want to do a study. And I actually spoke to a psychiatrist who at the University of Chicago who's done a lot of research. And she said that even though the University of Chicago is a big campus with a lot of researchers and scientists, that she would have trouble finding people that had her similar interests. So when she would do a research project, CMC would always help because she'd be able to find fellow psychiatrists out east or down south or out west or in other countries abroad. And it helped her get a lot of papers published on her research. And again, none of this would be possible without modern technology. Modern technology allows people who work for different companies and live in different locales a chance to collaborate on their projects. If you need a math whiz, but none work at your company, CMC allows you to invite a mathematician from another state or another country to join the team and increase the team's potential. If busy coworkers can't find the perfect time to fill the chairs in the conference room, CMC allows the project to continue with members finishing their duties when they are free. With so much flexibility, online groups have replaced face-to-face meetings as the most efficient way to get projects finished. And again, we're all familiar with a lot of these new technologies, and I don't even know if they're all that new anymore. They've been around for as long as I can remember. I went to college for my undergrad in the early first part of the century, and there was blogs. Even way back then, people were blogging, people were online. Wikis, multiplayer online games, social networking technologies, video and music dissemination technologies have rapidly spread by means of the internet, each with additional new literacy forms and functions that are shaped by social practices. And this is just the way we read, write, listen, compose, and communicate information in 2019. Now, again, when I did this project, I kind of had really finished with or I noticed right away I'd have three really basic questions. Number one, are online groups better than face-to-face groups? I assumed they were, but I had to do the research. And so there is that other question, are face-to-face groups better than online? There is a case to be made for that. And I talk about that a little bit in my paper. And then there's also a question of, do groups work at all? Because there's a lot of studies I found that said people that work individually can accomplish a lot more than people who work in a group setting. So online communication, it's what I believe is the best way here in 2019. It does have some drawbacks, and here are some that I have listed here. Posts may be lengthy and time-consuming. Conversations are slower in real time. It may involve hours of lag time. That would be, you send a question to somebody and they don't get back to you. Maybe they're on vacation, not checking their emails. That slows the process down. Text-based chat conversations can be more incoherent. Sometimes people will use, LOL and stuff like that, and you might not understand what that is, especially if you're working with somebody abroad. So there are some drawbacks. But again, with so many different ways to communicate via CMC, it should not surprise anyone that even with these drawbacks, more and more people are skipping phone calls and face-to-face meetings for CMC. While multimedia and interactivity affect how learners approach and process content technology, it adds another dimension to digitally driven curriculum. Researchers suggest that CMC would develop a potentially new type of learning community that would provide space for collective thinking and access to peers for socializing and communication. And again, I don't even know if this is new. This is probably something I took out of an article that was written in 2011 or 2013. I think this is just how things are done now. And again, I don't know if it's a new digital phenomenon, but it does, what I read was that online collaboration is good at solving three main problems: time problems, distance problems, and communication problems. Time problems, I don't know. I guess it's trying to get everybody in the same place at the same time. It can be very difficult if they come in from out of town. Distance problems, obviously, somebody can be on the other side of the globe and you can talk to them, via Zoom like I am right now. And by solving time problems, it creates the benefit of 24/7 production cycles. By solving distance problems, it enables newly diverse teams. And by solving communication problems, it lets us work together in ways that tap into a broader set of skills and capacities. When we use online collaboration to support tasks and projects that specifically leverage these distinctive benefits, we go way beyond treating online collaboration as a Band-Aid, which I suppose it used to be, and actually as a way to do things in 2019. Now, excuse me. Now, I talked about the three things. Is online better? Is face-to-face better? Is working alone better? And there's one thing, when you talk about working in groups, I think the one thing that people argued was the transition. A lot of people, maybe people who don't use a lot of social media, maybe some older people, you're talking about doing something at your work or somebody going back to school, are used to doing the group work. And you have to kind of convince them that using these new tools will make things a lot easier for them. And as I wrote here, any transition can be difficult. For years, meetings, whether at school or in the workforce, were held at a table with participants looking at one another. Even if online groups are more efficient, it does not mean that people will embrace the change. Despite the increasing interest in online communities and significant investment organizations and colleges have made to design technologies to support them, Canvas, many communities fail to generate useful activities. Member participation is the most critical aspect for online communities to succeed. If you have a group of 3 people and one person in that group doesn't believe in online communication, it can hurt the group. Everybody must have buy-in. And the good news is that every year that passes, these CMC, these social media, these online chatting tools have been around longer and longer, and more people have used them. I'm in my 40s, but it seems like this stuff's been around forever in my life. So it's definitely been around for people in their 30s and definitely in their 20s. So while we talked about in the previous slide, people that aren't willing to embrace it, those people their numbers are getting a lot smaller, and the people that have used and embrace CMC is getting a lot bigger. Young people embrace CMC not just for work or school, it's their social lives. It's how they date, it's how they make friends. The constant use of CMC tools for social activities makes it easier to transition into online work groups. And as future generations rely on CMC for communication, asking them to meet in a face-to-face setting will feel awkward. It's kind of like, I like to say, it's kind of like the voicemail. When you get a voicemail on your phone, you're like, well, who's doing this? Who are these people, right? You don't want the voicemails. You don't even want the phone calls. I literally have called people and their message was, I don't check my voicemail. So again, anything other than working with CMC is going to be awkward. When we jump 10 years in the future, it's going to be even worse. Now, I want to just briefly touch on, do we even need groups? We've all had classes at UNO and other institutions where we didn't have any group projects, and it was perfectly fine. It was a great class. We learned a lot. We took a lot away. So do we even need them? And the question, it kind of goes both ways. There are people, actually, one of the people that I worked with is a man named Jim Seibel, and he wrote a great article on why a smart individual, is better than a group of smart people. And he is somebody who, ironically, eventually teamed up with Kobe Bryant to start Seibel Bryant. So even though he said, I'm a great individual, I can do things on my own, he eventually did bring Kobe Bryant, and he's now part of a team. But there are people who believe that individuals work better, that it just keeps things from getting messied up a little bit. But if used properly, groups will always seem to work better than working alone. While online groups are just that, a group, the majority of the work is done, excuse me, I apologize. But even another pro of online groups is that if you like to work alone, you can, right? You can get together. You guys can talk via Zoom. You can say, hey, you work on this part of the project, and you can do that by yourself. You may never meet these people, interact with these people. You do your project, you send it in. This person does their project. This project, it all comes together in the end. Boom. Even though you were part of a group, you were never in a group setting. So it works very well. When we embrace online collaboration as a powerful way of working in its own right, we stop mourning the end of the traditional office and start tapping the potential of a 24/7 diverse and flexible workplace. Again, you might not get the free lunch or the free donuts or whatever for being in a group like that, but you can have a better product. Group-based systems outperform individually based system and mixed systems. A mixed system is actually interesting. I want to talk about it briefly, because we're seeing a lot of it. And as you leave UNO and you go into the world, you start going to conferences, maybe communication conferences, CMC conferences, you might say, hey, I want to work on this presentation. I not only want to attend this conference, I want to present at this conference. And they may put you with a group of people, one guy from Florida, one guy from Washington State, and you three may work on the presentation. And you're going to start with CMC, right? Because you don't live in the same place. But when you get to the conference, you might meet, maybe at a restaurant or a coffee shop or in the hotel lobby or in a hotel room, and you may finish the project in a group setting, right, face to face. So you're actually doing both. So, the mixed systems are actually very interesting as well, and I think they're getting more and more popular in the corporate world, maybe than the academic one. And this is what I just talked about, the more group. I got too excited talking about a slide ahead because I thought it was very interesting. And one thing to remember is, even if you are kind of old school, I like the face-to-face, I want to come, I want to get the lunch, I want to drink some coffee, I want to interact with people, see people face-to-face, you're going to lose the battle. CMC is not going away, and online groups will be around for a long time. It's important that we embrace any efficient way to get a project done, even if it means we don't get the free lunch or the cookies in the conference or meeting room. Our goal as students, employees, and researchers is to get the job done and finish it well. Online groups allow ideas from anyone, regardless of location, and brings young minds into the equation. And more people learn about CMC tools, a lot of great things will be accomplished. And these are my references, all the people that I read for this project. So thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, you can comment. Thank you.